Well, welcome to the show. I'm thrilled to have with me today the legend that is Gale Crosley. Hello to you.
Hello. Thank you for that compliment.
How does that sound? Does that ring right for you? Are you happy with that?
I tell you, anything that says legend is in it is a good thing.
Well, we'll let the listeners make up their mind in about 20 minutes or so, Gail. But for the benefit of those that have not come across you before, and I can't believe there are not many, you've been doing this a while now. Just give us a bit about your background and your areas of expertise.
Okay. I started my career as an auditor with Arthur Andersen in Cleveland, Ohio, in the U.S. And for those of you who live in the U.S., you know that Cleveland is a very difficult climate. So I packed my bags and left and moved to Atlanta and went with Price Waterhouse as an auditor. So I became a CPA. And after that, I actually did a career pivot and went into, after a few years of auditing, IBM in sales, marketing, and new product development. And I spent a dozen years there. And so I have a fairly heavy technology background. After that, I left and was with a number of venture capital-backed startups. And so through these years, I learned how to grow things, how to get them off the ground, how to get them through their early stages, and all the way up to very large organizations. When the dot-com bust happened, there was nothing left. I was still a CPA, still kept up my CPE, and I said, maybe CPA firms would like to know how to grow better. I didn't know, just what level of sophistication they were until I did some interviews.
Yeah.
So the rest is history. I launched the firm, and what I do is I transform accounting firms, because now I'm international. I transform accounting firms into high growth environments. So that's what I do as my consultancy.
Well, we talk a lot about growth on this show and technology, but we don't really put them together. So in your view, how are growth and technology connected?
Up until about 5 or 6 years ago, Rob, they weren't connected very tightly. In fact, I had to put all my technology background on the shelf.
Right.
Many years as a growth consultant. The only connection there really was CRM. Most of the technology was going on in the back room behind the curtain with infrastructure like time and billing systems and that sort of thing. And then the cloud that hit us a few years ago changed all that. It looked so benign at the time, a place to put files and share them with your client. It was way more than that. And as a result, now technology has moved from the back room to the front room. And it not only drives the back room, but now in the front room, it is part and parcel to all of our services, and will become even more so integrated with our services and taking us beyond our services into technology-based consultative services that we are bringing to market and will continue to do so. So it is at the epicenter of growth right now.
Yeah. And what's driving that? Is it the clients themselves pushing it for it? Is it the firms from within, or are the vendors in fintech pushing the growth and technology onto the firms?
Neither.
Okay.
Yeah. The thing that drove it was the cloud. What happened with the cloud is people became aware that it did one thing that we didn't realize that completely changed the landscape, and that is it gave us unlimited capacity.
Okay, yeah.
Capacity for data and data storage, unlimited computing power. That's why cryptocurrency and blockchain has taken off, and unlimited telecommunications capacity. And with these limitless capacities, then there was a growing awareness that, oh my gosh, we don't have any limit to the data sets. We don't have any limit to the communications capability, and we don't have any limit to the processing power. And so it was that drove then the interest in the buyer group and in the vendor group in terms of what now can we do with all of this?
Now, we're in COVID times. We can't ignore how crazy things are at the moment. Have you ever known anything like this in your career?
No. And the thing that makes it different is not only COVID, which is the big shift in the environment, but it came on top of an already very complex environment where we had major changes in technology, in regulation, and competition, and now we have economic conditions changing, and all four of those together, the economic changes that have been caused by COVID and COVID itself and what it's done relative to how we need to do business. It's all those things combined that has caused it to be so significant.
So let's address that question. How has COVID impacted the technology choices that we make to grow a firm's revenue?
Wow. It has dawned upon us, although we haven't totally grappled with it yet, that developing opportunities, clients, prospects is going to be digital. It's going to be virtual. And we haven't quite gotten there. I mean, we've been slowly adopting that with our current client base, but firms right now have not yet realized that you don't have to, lay hands on a prospect in order to develop and close business.
Now, you focus on growth when you consult into accounting firms, Gale. What does a growth consultant do?
My practice in the transformation of a firm actually is a mix of various types of communications required in order to persuade and influence and get adoption. And the reason why this is a question you asked me, but I'm going to take it more broadly because we're asking our accountants to become consultants. But this is a very significant shift for them because what a lot of them don't realize is that consulting requires this set of communication skills to persuade and influence and lead the client down a path. You have to be able to have 6 different things that you do because you've got to serve up your content in any way that they can get it. So I have learned to be, and these are the things that they're going to need to do to be consultants. You need to learn to interview people, to facilitate groups, to coach people, to speak in front of audiences, to train people, and to either write or get yourself a good ghostwriter who can write. So when you talk, he or she writes for you. And that's the only thing that, you get a little star next to that one because you have a little boost there if you don't like it. But so when I work with clients, it's often over a period of the course of many months. And I will be serving up, advice and counsel and process and workshops and all kinds of things to get them transformed and feed up the course of knowledge, just like when they went to school and became an accountant and an auditor or tax person. It's a course of knowledge.